My name is Ebonee. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm glad to be here, though. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story and how I ended up where I am today. As my 25th birthday approaches, I think back on how far I've come. Born to drug-addicted parents in Seattle, Washington, who struggled for most of my life to make ends meet, I experienced trauma from a young age that had lasting effects into my adulthood. The most significant were on my relationships. Not only how I related to others, but how I related to myself. I spent years in denial of my past, running away from my shadow, imprisoned by shame, and afraid of the consequences of others finding out about my history. What I know now is that my history is far greater than my experiences growing up, and those experiences were preparation for my greatness. Suffering was the catalyst for my evolution, and without it, I may have continued repeating the same cycles of dysfunction I witnessed as a child. Seeing my parents struggle pushed me to live beyond the status quo. Instead of living out my life as a product of my environment, I decided it was my job to break the chains of poverty, addiction, abuse, to rewrite my family history, and to live according to my own narrative. When I look back at my time in fashion, I realized that if it were not for my mistreatment as a model of color, I would not have the platform to inspire other young models of color to be their authentic selves and to love themselves despite living in a society that constantly reaffirms our inadequacy. When I moved to New York at 19, I had $800 and no mattress. I slept on the floor of my apartment that I shared with 4 roommates, but I was determined to follow my dreams. When I tried to get an agency, I was told there was no room for me on the board of multiple modeling agencies because they already had a girl with my look. The reality was, most agencies didn't want to represent more than a handful of Black models. Often I would show up to set and have my face painted gray by makeup artists who didn't know how to work with brown skin. And last year, when I decided to stop straightening my hair and stop wearing extensions, I was told by agents I wouldn't find work if I embraced my natural texture, and I would lose the clients I already had. But I refused to let them have the final say. I took a risk, followed my intuition, and continued to rock my curls. Yes. Thank you. Since then, it gets better. Since then, I've booked several global campaigns, from Calvin Klein to Gap, and signed with a new agency, The Lions, that fully supports my stance on the importance of representation in media. In my personal life, in dealing with friends and lovers, it was toxic relationships that pushed me toward better ones. At 18, I stayed with a man who spat on me, put hands on me, and cheated on me. At 25, I understand that behavior is intolerable because I know my worth. I am precious, my body is precious, my mind is precious, and I know that no matter where I come from or what I've been through, I deserve to be treated with respect. Thank you. The toxic relationships were only mirrors of me and the treatment I believe I deserved. They showed me who I did not want to be, and if I wanted better, I had to adjust my behavior and hold myself accountable for the spaces I occupied and the people I surrounded myself with. My suffering has been the change agent that propelled me toward my destiny. I've come to understand that when it's time to grow, everything becomes uncomfortable, but the pain is there to redirect us toward our purpose. My purpose is to set myself, my family, and many others free from the paradigm that has rendered us inferior, placed women at the bottom of the pyramid, and kept us stuck in cycles of disunity. It is the role of each generation to become a little more free and to secure a piece of freedom that wasn't available to our ancestors in previous generations. And it's absolutely necessary for us to recognize those who came before us and who paved the way for us. Because of them, we are able to build our own dreams and overcome every obstacle placed in our way, physical, sociological, and mental. Specific to my industry, it was pioneers like Beth Ann Hardison, Danielle Luna, Pat Cleveland, Grace Jones, and Iman in the 60s and 70s who paved the way for the next generation of Black models such as Veronica Webb, Naomi Campbell, and Tyra Banks. Each of these women played a critical role in the evolution of fashion as well as the evolution of our society by defying traditional beauty standards and creating space for others to do the same. Had it not been for the Black women in my industry who came before me, I would not be all that I am today. My history didn't start in November 1992. It didn't even start in my mother's womb. My history dates back to ancient Mesopotamia on the banks of the Tigris and Euphrates. It's in the pyramids of Egypt, the Great Horn to the east, the Cape Coast to the west. My history is in the cotton fields of the south and the jazz clubs of the north. I am the sum of my ancestors' prayers. Embedded within me is the DNA, experience, and knowledge of every one of my ancestors who came before me. Warriors, scholars, poets, philosophers, musicians, kings, and queens. It is their legacy that I carry with me as I navigate through my life and create my own. Their contributions to our cultural evolution and the sacrifices they made to create a life for themselves and others beyond the circumstances they were born into is the reason I am able to experience the limitlessness of my potential. There's a great deal of suffering happening right now as the planet goes through its own evolution. But it is the darkness that causes us to seek out the light. To some, the dysfunction and chaos may indicate otherwise, but to those who understand the cyclical nature of life, it makes perfect sense. Just as a caterpillar is trapped in the darkness of its cocoon before emerging as a butterfly, destruction will always precede growth. The greatest form of activism is to be a living example of the type of person you'd like to walk this earth with. The revolution starts with self. We are responsible for creating the world we want to see. Let's continue to walk in our truths and be role models for those who don't yet believe it's safe to walk in theirs. Let's lead the way and be a light in the darkness and understand that our personal growth and evolution adds to the collective planetary evolution and should be our #1 priority. Things always get worse before they get better, but they do get better. Let's stay fearless and keep choosing love and keep striving to reach our goals and to help the women Project Glimmer serves to do the same. Help them to break the cycles of dysfunction in their family and to defy every limitation that they've faced. Thank you for helping these women and girls to follow their dreams.
Ebonee Davis, everybody. I get to tell you to eat. Please enjoy your food. Store up that energy. We've got a live auction coming. Yours truly will be your auctioneer, so I'm going to be looking at all of you to raise some money for Project Glimmer. But enjoy your food.